The show stating what others hate. Seeking the truth and transparency here on Patriot View
at 1A Independent News.
With your host, Bear Direct.
Hey, what's going on, Patriots? Thank you for joining us for this episode of Patriot View at 1A Independent News. We're going to try to keep it short today. Not a lot we're going to really go on and discuss. But if you do have something you want to get out, but you don't want to put it on your own social media profile because of trolls, we're going to give you a way to get that word out there to where you're not getting liberal trolls bashing you because you disagree with them. And listen, why do I say liberal trolls when I have it opened up for anybody to go ahead and give a submission, and it's a matter of whether it fits with what we require. Okay? Because just because you're somebody from the left does not mean you have a hard liberal standpoint. This is the way it is, and if you don't like it, then you're wrong and I'm right. There's still some people from the left that will sit there and look and go, you know what? Hey, I get that. I can understand. I can understand that point of view and give the respect that the other side will tend to give. There are some people on the right that'll do I just don't agree with you. I'm never going to agree with you. And it's a shame because that's not what conservatives are generally about. Conservatives are usually, I don't have to agree with you, but you know what? I'm going to at least listen to you, and we can civilly debate our points. And if we can't come to agree on something, we can just mutually walk away and agree to disagree. Liberals generally will not do that. And I've had countless, literally when I say countless discussions with liberals, and they're not civil discussions. They're civil on my side. They're just not very, very polite or civil from the other side. No matter how nice I try to be, no matter how understanding I try to be to their point, it just does not happen. You can tell somebody has a liberal standpoint and their view is the only view versus somebody that's from the left that can sit there and go, you know what? Everybody has a right to their opinion, whether we like it or not. Let's have a discussion about it. Let's have a debate. Okay. And that's how you can tell the difference. And like I said, is the right side of the spectrum, is that flawless to those people that are like those hard leftists? No, it can happen. Do we disagree with them as conservatives? Oh, geez, yes, absolutely. They're wrong. They are literally wrong if they do something that hard liberal does. They're just as bad. We are grounded. Our nation is grounded on the ability to have different thoughts and beliefs, to be able to have a civil discussion about them and agree to disagree. Shake hands, go out and have a beer afterward. Where two different opposing sides can be good, really good friends. Now, dude, if you're a conservative and you walk into your family's a family member's home and you say something that is pro-conservative, anti-liberal, your family, you're going to get disowned by your family. You're a disgrace to our family. Really? It's sad, man. It's sad. It really is. I have family members that are from the left, and I don't disagree with them. I don't disown them. I don't say I don't want to interact with you because your beliefs are different than mine. Are they liberal? I think they're a little misguided in the things that they hear. So they buy into it. Are they, actual hard liberals? No, because they haven't disowned me. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world for me, honestly, but because I'm that person. I could care less. If you don't like my views, then too bad. I will interact in civil debate with you. But if you just don't want me around as a family member, and you don't like me because I think differently than you, or I believe differently than you, and I should be thinking like you, then I don't need to be around you, because we are a nation of different people with different thoughts and different views and different mindsets on political issues, on a full spectrum of issues. And it's a shame when people cannot agree to disagree. It's like people saying, "Oh, Dr. Spock is the one to go to for child rearing to learn how to, bring up your children." Are you joking? These are baselines and guidelines and things. And are they helpful? Sure, they can be. All these parenting books are not necessarily the go-to, or this is gonna work, or even that this is the way it should be done, but can be used as baselines and references, things that tools. So if you run into an issue, it may be something that could be useful, not necessarily the fix. It's like going to a doctor, and that's why I said, look up, if you're going to get a book from an author, look up that author on these parenting books. Okay, these doctors, these therapists, these whatevers, they've got these degrees in early childhood development. Excuse me. Look them up and see if you can, really be an investigative journalist, so to speak. Look them up and see if they actually have children of their own. Okay? Because you'll be surprised. I called a therapist out one time. My parents had foster kids, okay? And these children had some issues. And I met with them. I spent a lot of time with them, trying to mentor them a little bit. And, be that big brother, and they had some issues, and the therapist wanted to meet with everybody. My name came up a lot, so they wanted to meet with me. And the therapist is coming up with all this stuff, and my folks were telling me, some of the stuff the therapist was saying, and I'm like shaking my head, like, what are they? No, I mean, that's textbook stuff. They're reading that out of a book. They're not doing it out of personal experience. So when I met with them, I was looking around, and as a Marine, I'm always be aware of my surroundings, know where your exits are, right? And the therapist didn't say that, I did anything wrong, or they disagreed with the way I mentored them or interacted with them. But there was others that they were in my family. They questioned the interactions, and it's not like anything that was bad. It's just, these are children that are from broken homes, or homes that they're in the foster care system for whatever reason, right? Okay, we get that. We understood that. I understood that. We make our lives. We change what defines us. We don't let what's happened to us because of our parents define us. We have to change whatever's going on in our lives, how we represent ourselves, how we act, to get to that point of what defines us. And I just ended up looking, and then the therapist finally looked at me and goes, what are you doing? She's like, what are you doing? You're looking all over the place. You just seem very distracted. Is there anything, are you okay? Is there anything that's, we should be looking at, maybe a diagnosis, thinking maybe ADD or something like that, right? And I go, no, I'm a jarhead. I'm a Marine. I am trained to observe my surroundings. Okay. And they're like, well, what? I go, trained to observe my surroundings, to know where my exits are, to make observations. I go, because when you're if you're in a tactical situation, and you don't have time to collect intel, you have to observe it. You have to try to see what you can observe, because you don't have time to actually collect it, to pick it up and take it. And she's just looking at me like, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with this guy? And I was much younger at the time, obviously. But I go, you're giving me a lot of scenarios. The do's, the don'ts, the blah, blah, blahs. I go, but I already have the answer to this. I already have the answer to this question, but I want to hear it from you. I go, how do you interact with your children? How do you interact with your children? How do you interact with your children differently than my folks do with their foster children, or I do with these foster children, or I do with my children? She just looked at me and gave me that deer in the headlights look, because I knew the answer, and she knew it. I told her, I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. This is why people are very leery of, like, CPS. Okay? This is this is political, and I'll get to it in a moment, man. I really will. So, I had this therapist really, really out there, really like, you could see the look on her face. And she's like, well, you know what? The question is, she finally did we're, oh, wait a minute. No, this isn't about me. So now I started questioning her credibility. She knew it. She knew I had the answer. I knew the answer before I ever asked the question. So she goes, this is really not about me. This is really about, I go, so you want to avoid the question, answering the question, and you want to avoid answering the question for a reason. Anybody that's watched for quite a while, they've watched and they understand that my field of study in college, I had 3 fields of study: psychology, sociology, and criminology. So that's 3 social science degrees. But in specific, those are my focuses. I couldn't decide on a main focus, so I focused on all 3. That's why I was there for so long. Okay, it wasn't because I was working on a doctorate or anything. It's because I was so enamored and drawn in by all 3 that I made each one of those a focus instead of a major and minors. I made those all focus, my focus courses, my majors for each one. The focus of study. So it became this, and this. She did not know anything about me. So when I'm asking these questions, I already know the answers. I know exactly what's going on. I was not blind to what was going on. And I just told her, I'm like, listen, I already know the answer to the question. I don't know why you just won't answer it. Because it's not about me. This is your session. I'm not in a session. I'm here to listen to you and answer some questions for you. But guess what? Since I'm not actually your patient, I'm asking you questions as well. Because there's a reason for it. You are giving out textbook answers with no real life experience. Because you have no children. You're not even married. So you're handing out textbook answers. And the response was, well, I don't know what that has to do with anything. I said, because you're not experienced to discuss these matters just because you have a degree. You have technical training. You have no life training. Because the sooner you realize that technical training and life training can go hand in hand, but the one that's hindering you right now is the technical training. You have the understanding, but you don't know where to put it because you don't have the other elements. You've never dealt with the other elements personally. Because as soon as you do, you're going to realize that, maybe the way I'm looking at it from a textbook versus practical application, real life application, are a little bit different. I kind of ruined her day, and the children's caseworker talked to me there shortly after, and she knew. She goes, before I ever went there, because she's the one that says, "Hey, their therapist would like to see you." And she goes, "This ought to be interesting," because we had multiple conversations ourselves, and she already knew who I was. So she goes, "The children's therapist no longer wants any sessions with you." I'm like, "Did she tell you why?" She goes, "You analyzed her. You psychoanalyzed her." I go, "I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm sorry she felt like she was being analyzed." I go, "I was questioning her credibility, or her, not even more that much her credibility, but her ability to make sound sound choices or advice, state advice that she was." I go, "Because there was things that she was saying that she should not have been actually, or statements that she should not have been making, because she didn't have this, not anything to personal experience, real life experience, to say that. Everything was out of a textbook." I said, "Anybody knows that there's technicals out of a textbook, and then there's practicals." And being that she was a caseworker, she knew exactly what I was talking about. Now, what does this get to be political? Some of these children that get run through the system are children that are ripped out of homes that they should have never been taken out of. CPS, when they say, well, CPS, or Child Protective Services, or what are these, DCF, whatever it happens to be called in your state, they just rip children away from their parents and blah 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 blah. Sometimes they really actually do take children when they really should not be taking the children, and it's really sad. It really is. People make these allegations. People make allegations constantly, and they don't have to have anything to support the allegation. We live in a society where, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? When it comes to DCF, CPS, whatever, you're literally, anybody that's gone through it, you might be listening right now, watching right now, and going, "Oh yeah, been there, done that," know exactly what you're talking about. Sometimes you have to literally fight. You get your children, sometimes you get parents get their children yanked out of their home over a false allegation, something that never happened. And your legal rights are stripped away from you to be able to see your children. Okay? They're thrown into homes with either more children, with strangers that are collecting a paycheck, and I don't blame them. Sometimes these people are great. Sometimes these people are just horrible. I've met both. I mean, we had one of my parents' foster kids. They ended up at another home, and then we see them later on as adults, or grown up, no longer in the system, and they're like, "Oh man, I wish I had never left your house. I wish you had never left your house. Your family was so nice. These people were jerks. Blah 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 blah." Sometimes the parents actually need these children removed from their home. They really do. As far as like child abuse allegations, there's a difference between actual abuse, where you're physically putting the safety, health and safety of the child at risk. And then some children just get disciplined and their parents get turned in because they went back to school, told their teacher, "You spanked them." and you get your children yanked out of your home, and you potentially put up in charges. Trust me, been there, done that. Only my ex was the one that took advantage of stuff and played the system. Because to spank my child, I slapped him on the buttocks. Because he brought something from his mother's home and could have burnt my house down. And I was told, well, you should have checked him. And this was by the court officers, will say. You should have checked him. Why am I going to frisk my child every time he comes into my home? I have him more than she does. But I can tell you, they go, how do you know that he brought it from there? I said, because I don't use those particular, it was lighters. I said, I don't use those lighters, so they would not be in my home. That's why. I use nothing but Zippos. This was a crap wannabe bit lighter. So I knew the answer. So I know how the system works on both sides. So children are ripped into the system either by false allegations or because the parents actually are that bad. And it's a shame because sometimes these children end up in bad foster homes or group homes or whatnot. And it puts them in a worse situation. But sometimes these caseworkers act like judge, jury, and executioner. They make the decisions. They get the warrants. They think they work by a different set of rules. They can just walk into your home without a warrant. And no, they can't. You know, I've seen these videos 100 times where they all of a sudden see they're there and the cops, people are like, no, they got to go get a warrant. They cannot just walk into my home. They're still acting on enforcing laws of some sort. They still do not, as a government agent, they still do not have the right to infringe on my constitutional liberty, constitutional rights and liberties. Oh no, they have more. They don't have to go by. They have more ability. No, they don't. Go back, get a warrant, come back, and we'll talk. Once you have all the elements that need to be in place to not violate my constitutional rights, then we're good. I'm trying to help. This is what hey, these people are basically like, hey, I'm trying to help you. Me? No, violate away. Violate my rights as hard as you want. Violate them. I'm going to, if I come down to it, I'm going to speak how I oppose what's going on, but I'm going to let you dig yourself your hole and bury yourself in the litigation to follow. I've learned, granted, I don't have to really deal with it now at my age. But yeah, I just have to deal with the grandkids, right? But as far as having children in the home 24/7, I don't have to deal with that anymore. So think about those things. They're not there for you. They're really not. They're saying, well, we're here for you to help you. They're not. In many cases, they are not there to help you. I'm going to give you an example. When I was going through my stuff, my ex made a false allegation, blah, 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 blah. Anybody that's watched, it became a shit show, honestly. And the caseworker, from CPS, because I slapped my child on the butt. He had a bleeding disorder. I already knew that the allegation was bump, because the what the claim was could not happen the way they're describing it. But she had them and got the doctor at the hospital that was unfamiliar, because she had to take him to the hospital because of these marks, because she wanted him and wanted the money. I had him more than she did. I was collecting no support. But she wanted to move out of the area too. And she knew the only way that she could do that was to get him from me. So, it ran down the list and down the line, questioning the paternity at that point too, because the only way that the child can have this particular disorder is it has to come from the mother or the father. Well, bingo, Bob's your uncle. Neither one of us have it. So I tried to, at the point that I found out we were going through this stuff, and I found out through some research, and through the medical journals on this disorder, and the full write up on it, and then getting a hold of his specialist and verifying that it has to come from the maternal or the paternal father. I mentioned it to one of my lawyers about it, and he goes, "It doesn't matter," because I wanted to do a paternity test. You're going to run me through false ringers. I want to do this. It was bad. It was really, really bad. Let's put it this way. Everything that was happening was because of her, but she took it out on me because I didn't let her just walk all over me and run around with all kinds of women and guys. And like, it was okay. Like, we were in an open relationship. That wasn't what it was. No way. So she called on that over several years of infidelity and being caught. Then I finally, no, I give you all these chances. I gave her like 5-6 years worth of chances. I was done. So it was all due to her making. So she decided that the only reason I had him more was because she kept dumping him on me. So I had him more. I had the schedule. I had the calendar. We had gone to court about it. And yeah, I had him more. I could have got support, but I didn't choose that route because my kid, well, it's supposed to be my kid. So she took advantage of the stuff. I could have got, potentially I could have gone to prison for 6 years for something I didn't do. But the CPS, here's where CPS is, and I'm going to close with this one. CPS held a crucial piece of discovery, and my lawyers, they were supposed to be the best of the best of the best. I tried to hand them the evidence, and they're like, they're not going to care. Well, oh, really? Why are they going to care? Because the DA and the judges were all like in lockstep. Okay. Almost everybody gets a conviction. The ADAs were told by the DA, get a conviction of some sort or find another job. Came directly out of their mouths by accident one time. The report from CPS where they interviewed his specialist on the particular disease he has. They held that from discovery until after, and they released it after, saying that because I could have caused internal bleeding because of his bleeding disorder. I could have caused internal bleeding from spanking him. First of all, marks on his buttocks were from him being with his mother, because she let him slide down a frozen sand hill with snow on it. No sled. and no snow pads, which there was witnesses to testify to that. So the specialist said there was no amount of force could have been applied to his buttocks to cause internal bleeding, which was the premise for their charges to begin with. So they withheld that information. I went back to my lawyers, and they're like, well, you have no way to prove it, that they did that it was done intentionally. I'm looking at the dates right now. So I could have had everything done and reversed, and it could have came back. But if they had reversed it, they would have had to admit, because they knew I would have pushed for her to be charged, for them to arrest her and charge her with making a false statement. Then it would have rolled back to the DAs and the caseworkers as well for perjuring themselves on official documents. That's the politics of this stuff. So, guys, careful what you say, what you do. I'm not telling you not to help children that are in the foster system, but look at what they do to parents that did nothing wrong. They should be focusing on the parents that did that. Actually have issues, drugs, alcohol, proven, issues with children going into the hospital all the time. The parents look, being high, drunk, things like that, where it's clear signs of abuse. Now, how do you know that you're what? Because I saw the pictures. As children, we used to do the same thing. And we had those same marks. They're rash, man. Basically, it's like road rash. We did the same thing as kids. Give it a few days, it's going to go away. Okay? None of them are hand marks, as they tried to claim. Even the lawyers are sitting there looking at it going, these are lines up and down. You spanked across. So, I don't know where they're coming up with this stuff. But it is what it is. But it's years later. His brothers won't even talk to, they just, my oldest won't even talk to my son's mother, my youngest mother, because she pulled that, and they were pretty close. And even my ex-wife, my first wife, ended up talking to her and telling her exactly what she thought of her. We weren't married for years. But she knew better. She knew better. She knew that would never happen, that I would never do that. And she just went off the deep end. So, do we talk? My first wife and I barely talk ever. I don't think that was last. I don't really know when the last time was I talked to her. I don't need to. But I have, from when we went through where she filed for to move out of the area. The one that started all the freaking chaos, put in there. Their lawyers put in there. The judge said that because they wanted me to go through anger management, I didn't need to go through anger management. Even the judge said that I was very well composed after several hours of being abused by her lawyer and the law guardian. She goes, within 5-10 minutes of listening to you people, she goes, I would have lost it. She goes, he's been in here for 2.5-3 hours and hasn't lost it once. So, no, I'm not going to order. And she said flat out, I'm not ordering. I will not force him to take anger management because I don't think it's needed. And then she goes, I don't even think it works. So when they wrote up the order at the end, but because everything that was already going on, they gave her what she wanted anyway. They put in there that I refused to go to mandated anger management. It was never mandated. So they lied in a court document, and I brought it up to the court too. I went up and I actually submitted, and I highlighted all those areas. I took copies of everything, submitted everything, put my notes in there, and I went, these are fabrications, saying I failed to go through mandated this anger management, this, that, and every other thing. I choose to not be a part of the child's life. Instead of putting in there the facts of I cannot trust her to not pull something else and make another false allegation. So they didn't want to put that in the court records, but I got it submitted into the court records. The judge did end up sending me a thing because the judge was this man-hating female judge, and actually took my, felt that I was being unjustly dealt with. She read right through the BS over on the other side. She let him know that. That's when my ex had a meltdown, and made it sound really, tried to garner that sympathy from the judge. It didn't work, but I even said, hey, why don't we take it for her well-being, her mental and physical well-being? Why don't we just adjourn and reschedule, come back? She made me look good. The judge was inclined to agree. I'm a caring person, whether she screwed me over or not. I'm a caring person. But because of all that, and I sent it and, all this in with the notes and everything, and the judge did let me know that it was put in record. That was that basically that document was bump. That's not what was agreed on in court. So it was basically a false document. And I ended up getting a letter from the lawyer, her lawyer, we'll say a nasty gram. That she was not very happy that I did things the way that I did. I should have sent it to her. So I sent that nasty gram, and it was very spicy worded to me. So I ended up sending that up to go into and having it submitted into record as well. In which case, I did get a message back from her lawyer again, but they were very selective in the wording. So everything that was sent to me, I sent back to the court to be submitted into the record for that case, because it's still pertaining to the case. And so finally, she just figured it out that, every time I send him something, he's going to send it to the court, make sure that it gets entered in the record for that case. So she finally stopped sending me stuff. And so either way, and I told her, I said, you shouldn't have perjured yourself. I said, you entered into a fraudulent, and I did say a fraudulent court document, because all the stuff that you're saying is not what the judge had said had to happen. And plus, I said, at this time, because of everything else that had happened, I cannot trust her to not pull other shenanigans in the future that put me at risk. I've had people say, you're a bad father. Well, one, I don't, like I said, I have no idea whether this child's actually mine or not. The DNA would tell, but the disease says no, because his mother nor I have it, and it has to come from either the mother or the father. Literally, not one of the other people in the bloodline. No, it has to literally come from the mother or the father. So one of us has to have it. So that's how it's passed down. Is one of the biological parents has to have it. So that was my argument. So to get the DNA test, that they said, no, well, they're not going to bastardize the child. No, but I have, if that's the case, I had the understanding that because we were married, that I was frauded because we were married. So I would automatically be under the assumption that he's mine, that she's being truthful. So it would have became into a fraud case on that part for me. So it would have made it a lot better. It would have discredited her as well. So the whole case would have folded, basically, like a deck of cards. So you got to watch out for these people. I'm telling you. Dot your I's, cross your T's, dot your I's. Make sure all your ducks are in a row because you can get screwed really fast. So, little personal matters. Airing laundry, it's all the sting is still there. But I'm just saying that from people that have been through the things, everything firsthand. My training in psychology, sociology, criminology gave me the ability to keep a level head and not freak out over everything. So I had that advantage because it made it so how I handled it was better. So I took book the book stuff, the book education, classroom education, and I used it to mold the practical application. Okay, of staying, to stay calm through something that was at the moment, it was very traumatizing. So yes, men can be traumatized. So, all right, guys, think about the stuff. You might know somebody that's going through something, so kind of let them into some stuff. Do some research and look into stuff. I mean, it's going to help you handle things so much better. Excuse me, guys. I hate winter. I hate freaking allergy seasons. I hate. It's just a cruel, cruel world. So, help us get those views up on Rumble. If you're over on YouTube, help us get those views there. Hit us over on Rumble. If you need the address for Rumble, let us know. If you're from X, Facebook, or Truth, you're getting the direct line to the episode of the day on Rumble. Share it on those platforms as well. Sign up for that free Rumble account. You get a minimal amount of storage. We have a paid plan because it gives us more storage space. But help us get those views up so we can start generating what we need to fund what our goals are through 1A Independent News and Patriot View. Website and email were up in the beginning. Should be, if it's not up right now, it will be. Pop over to the website. We have two ways you can support us on our website. On the bottom of the homepage, there's a crowdfunding box. Top of all pages on the website, there's a hosting gift box. Anything you get for that gift box goes to our hosting provider. It doesn't go to us. Our hosting provider credits our hosting account. So we do have any sponsors. We have items we recommend. These are items we purchased, tried, we like, so we recommend them. If you send us anything, cannot be crazy and outlandish, okay? Cannot be crazy and outlandish. Must have a first name or pseudonym, state and location, not a physical address, state and location, so we can see who we're reaching out. Others can see who we're reaching out. So we're not going to take credit for your piece. So if you see something on our website that doesn't have a name, it's ours. It's ours. So we won't take credit for your piece. If you quote anything, make sure it's in quotations. Run your piece through a grammar editor too. We're not grammar police, but let's make sure that the grammar editor is going to help you get the punctuation where it needs to be. Help fix some spelling errors. It's going to meld it and form it into something that people are going to understand and be able to get behind. Okay, like I said, we're not grammar police. We know some of these trolls will get into things and they'll bash you, which is why if you send it to us, because you don't want to put it on your own social media profile because of trolls. Usually when they're bashing you, that's the big one, is bashing you over grammar. They're bashing you over grammar as they got a bunch of grammatical errors and it's one big run-on sentence. So you're more than welcome to send it to us. Like I said, run it through a grammar editor. It'll help you put that thing together and make it so people can really get behind it and understand exactly what you're saying. If you quote anything, make sure it's in quotations. Any sources or references, you're going to put them in brackets. No.com, .org, no dot nothing. Name of the website, minus dot anything, nothing, no dot anything. Title of the article, if there is one. And for both quotes and the sources or references, this is going to be apply. So listen close. Copy the indexed address out of the address bar at the top of your browser for the page that you're quoting from. Paste it directly above, directly below the quote. For references to sources, you're going to paste it in the brackets. What it's going to do is we're going to hyperlink into the text, change the text a different color. People click on it, goes directly to the page on the website that you drew the quote from or you're using as a reference or a source to support what you're saying. Okay? Simple, straightforward. Again, cannot be crazy and outlandish. If it's crazy and outlandish, we're not going to put it up. We reserve the right to not put stuff that just doesn't make sense up. Okay. The only reason I did today's episode is because I've been seeing a lot of things that are just wonky, remind me, kind of put me into a flashback of things that I went through. And I just wanted to share that with somebody. So it may be beneficial to somebody. If you're in one of those situations and you're not really sure, go ahead and reach out to us in the email. I'll try to get back to you and maybe get you to some references or whatnot that can help you out. I can't give any kind of medical or legal advice to you. I'm sorry. But I can help guide you. I can tell you from personal experience things that I went through or I've seen. Okay. But I can get you somewhere where you can get some information is what it comes down to. If you, again, must have first name or pseudonym, state location, not a physical address, state location, so we can see you reaching out. Others can see you reaching out. So like, I don't know, Sailor from Kings Bay, Georgia, or John from Boston, Massachusetts. Simple, straightforward, non-identifying. The only one that's going to know it's you is you, and whoever else you tell it's you. So again, we want to thank you for joining us. Help support us through getting either the crowdfunding on the bottom of the homepage. Website and email should be up here right now. So bottom of the homepage, crowdfunding, top of all the pages on the website. Hosting, we do not have any sponsors. Help us get where we need to on YouTube. Again, Facebook, X, and Truth. You're getting the episode of the day to Rumble. So share on those platforms. Help us get those Rumble views up. And again, join Rumble. Follow, subscribe to the channel. If you're on YouTube, help us get those up. You can go run over to Rumble, find us over there, or hit us in the comments. We'll get you the link if you want to do that. Rumble does not make you jump through hoops to monetize like these other platforms do. So again, we want to thank you for joining us for this episode of Patriot View at 1A Independent News. And as always, till next time, stay frosty, my friends.
You just heard Patriot View
at 1A Independent News
with Bear Direct. Join us on Rumble at 1A Independent News for our daily broadcast.